But Jesus is not to be deterred. The stone is rolled away, and after giving thanks to God, Jesus cries out, "Lazarus, come out!" And the dead man walks out of his tomb. Death was undone. The finality of death was called into question. Everything that had been understood as settled was now up in the air. And it would be only further confused when 3 days after his own death, Jesus was back among the living in ways that defied literal explanations. It was on the occasion of raising Lazarus that Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die." Jesus comes to undo our preconceptions and misconceptions about life and death and everything in between. Jesus comes to pull down the mighty from their seats of power and to raise up the humble and meek. Jesus comes to fill the hungry with good things and send the rich away empty. Jesus comes trampling down death and giving life to those in the grave. Jesus comes undoing everything we thought was true and showing us the ultimate and lasting truth. On this day when we remember our loved ones and friends who have gone down to the grave, we also remember that, like Lazarus, they have encountered the one who changed their lives while here on earth, and who has changed everything beyond the perceived finality of death. For our loved ones and friends, and especially for Susie Nicholson and John Haddon, Jean Rumpel, Miriam Reel, Barbara Graves, Joe Coslick, Bob Stallings, and Ruth Strew. For them, death has been undone, and they live in new and more magnificent ways than we can begin to imagine. Jesus has commanded them as he commands us to come forth, and offers every enslaving bond as released and removed. Early in his career, the great American playwright Eugene O'Neill wrote the imaginative play entitled Lazarus Laughed. It's about Lazarus' life after Jesus raised him from the dead. Near the beginning of the play, guests from Bethany are gathering for a banquet in Lazarus' honor. They are all desperate to hear what Lazarus has to say about his experience. And as they take their seats, one guest says, "The whole look of his face has changed. He's like a stranger from a far land. There is no longer any sorrow in his eyes. They must have forgotten sorrow in the grave." Another guest, one who had helped roll the tombstone aside, recalls the scene after Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead in even more beautiful terms. "And then Lazarus knelt and kissed Jesus' feet, and both of them smiled. And Jesus blessed him and called him my brother, and went away. And Lazarus, looking after him, began to laugh softly, like a man in love with God. Such a laugh as I have never heard. It made my ears drunk. It was like wine. And though I was half dead with fright, I found myself laughing too." When we hear our names called by a voice we know better than any other, and when we walk out into that light, we know. That is the story of the saints. That is our story. And my hunch is that there is great laughter. Sorrow, pain, tears are all undone. Fear is undone. Death is undone. And in the presence of our living and loving God, we go on and on and on, for now and evermore.